Hello everyone. Today I really glad to see you on this conference, on my speech. Probably not see you because I see only my camera right now, but feel you with my heart on this conference. And I want to talk with you about push and pull monitoring differences. So who am I? Let me introduce myself. My name is Seva Poliakov. I'm a 3 and DevOps engineer with more than 10 years experience. I work with companies such as Grammarly, Ring, and a lot of different big companies like Amazon and others. You may know me as VictoriaMetrics Club founder. It's a Ukrainian DevOps community. We have Slack chat, and right now it's more than 3,000 members, so you can join us. Please actually raise your hand who from Crops Club. Raise your hand. Yeah, I can. Oh, you're so nice to raise your hand. And I'm a CPO of a VictoriaMetrics company, and this is my cat. It's called Thread. A lot of people know me as a person who talking mostly about monitoring. For the last 10 years, I have a lot of speeches about monitoring, about comparing different systems, and right now I'm working at VictoriaMetrics as Chief Product Officer. So let's talk a little bit about VictoriaMetrics, what it is. VictoriaMetrics provides monitoring solution. It's completely open source, so you can go to the GitHub, you can read our code, you can do pull requests, write the issues, and all of these things. It's protocol agnostic. It supports both push and pull models. So mostly because of this, I started to thinking about writing this speech, because we have so interesting cases from our customers and from our users, how they use VictoriaMetrics, and we made a lot of decisions. I mean, we made a lot of decisions to support both of protocols, both of methods of monitoring, and support a lot of push protocols, such as like different protocols. We have like lowest sample size on the market. And what sample is? Sample is the dot on your graphs. You have a dots, and each dot needs to be stored on the storage. And our compression rate is like 3 times better than any competitor, any closest competitor, and 70 times better compared to graphite or like old systems. It can be 70 times better. That means you can store 3 times more metrics or use 3 times less storage. Actually, and if you want to store 3 times more metrics, we develop a really efficient solution, because we can write efficient code, and we support high ingest rate, so you just can stop thinking about how much metrics you can write. Also, we created a friendly domain-specific language. It's inspired by PromQL. It's called MetricsQL. We already we brought it like with this idea in our mind. You didn't need to have a statistic degree to write a simple query. How we made money? We provide an enterprise support for our customers, and we provide an enterprise features such as machine learning for anomaly detection and forecasting, and so on, and authentication. Like, we have a lot of enterprise features, but I didn't want to be a salesman here, so let's let's go to our speech. At first, I want you to define what modern environment is. Please wrote this message to the chat, and if you look in this speech on YouTube, you can write this definition to the comments or your local notebook or something. Yeah, just please write it here. I can wait. Okay, I see first responses. Yeah, please do not be ashamed, just write it down. Oh, it's very impressive, very impressive. Because this message is pre-recorded, any comments we may make about your success are speculation on our part. Please disregard any undeserved compliments. So, based on your answers, modern environment usually looks like this. We have some modern parts, like lambdas, like clouds, like service meshes, and all of those things. Services written in Rust and in Go and other. And we in the same time we have the data centers which run Proxmox and huge Java application inside, huge Java monoliths inside virtual instances, and so on and so on. And it works together to get things done. And sometimes monitoring all those things can be really hard. And first question you may have when you start to monitor things, it's which solution I need to choose. And before of answering this question, you need to understand the main difference between push and pull, because there is two types of solution. First solutions use like old one, it's like called classic solution, supports the push. It's Graphite, OpenTSDB, Influx, StatsD, and each of these solutions have different protocols to raw data. And we have the modern solution used by everyone. I mean, not everyone, but it's called modern because everyone wants to use the modern things. And this is a solution called Prometheus. It's popular mostly because it's supported by Kubernetes and so on and so on and so on. So, and everyone use Prometheus because it's modern, but not a lot of people thinking about differences and thinking about choosing. So let's talk about first to understand why Prometheus and pull is so popular. Let's talk about push. What it is push. Actually, it's pretty simple. Imagine you have service. It can be like 20 nodes, 200 nodes, 2000 nodes, 3000 nodes, 4,000 nodes, maybe more, maybe less, and all of these services pushing data to your monitoring. So what you need to define if you're trying to build push monitoring system? First, your service need to know where to store metrics. I mean, it need to know the destination, and service need to know how to push metrics, because there is a lot of different protocols such as Graphite, OpenTSDB, StatsD, Influx. Actually, we can stop talking about how, because in VictoriaMetrics we decided to be protocol agnostic, so we support a lot of different push protocols. And let's talk about where at first. So there can be two different monitoring paradigms. We can have the same monitoring for all our environments. Like, let's imagine we have production stage and development environments, and we can have some different infrastructure environment and push those metrics from services to this single point monitoring. It's okay. In this case, you can hard code the destination in your code and just push data to your monitoring. But sometimes you want to have the different monitoring for different environments. I mean, if you didn't want your development environment affect your production monitoring statistics, you probably want to separate the monitorings between environment. So sometimes in each environment you can have a different monitoring, and or inside environments, imagine we have different data centers. You can have like a separate data center for collecting the monitoring data, but usually you want to have the monitoring near your in your data center. And this is much harder, mostly because you need to configure your service on the start, or to, like, it can be by env variable, so you need to configure service and route this data to the wrote the data to some environment variable, and then service will read those environment variable and start to push the data to the monitoring. Or you can have like a DNS based service discovery. It can help actually. But talking about all these different environments and data centers and different locations, the monitoring engineer in the past forgets about the local environment and local monitoring location. And it's really, this is a really interesting question, because the developers, when they develop their service, they need to know how to push metrics. And usually it's really hard just to set up the whole monitoring system locally. And then you need to push metrics from your service to this local system. And in this local system, you can look at those metrics, and it's hard. And so usually everyone just disable the monitoring locally. But if you disable monitoring locally, you actually can broke something, or it's really hard to check if everything's working correctly. And if you found solution for your developers in your company, there is no solution for third-party software developers. I mean, if you imagine yourself writing third-party software like a database or VPN or anything, you need to support all push protocols. You need to support some kind of variables. You usually need to check if everything works correctly. And this is not easy. This is really not easy. And usually no one do it. I mean, no one did it. So because of this, guys from the SoundCloud, if I remember correctly, they introduced into us different system. They spin the arrow and and they said, let's get metrics from the service. We didn't want to configure our services. We didn't want them to know there is service discovery. We want to have the same service in the same environment, work in the same way. And if you want statistic from the service, you can just the service will publish HTTP HTTP page for you, and then monitoring system goes to each service and collect data from them. Actually, it's interesting. And while our nodes need to know nothing about each other and need to know nothing about where to push data, the monitoring system needs to know which from pull to pull data. So, but there is a problem. In this system, usually we can't have the separate observation environment, because we need to have those collectors in each environment, in production, in stage, in dev, in each data center. We need to have monitoring system to collect data from, because of environment separation and data center separation. And usually for this we need to have some kind of observer to go to each environment and get metrics from this. It's pretty easy, logical, pretty easy solution. It has some disadvantages, but we can talk about this a little bit later. So what's about local development? It's really easy to implement in your local setup. Really easy. You just do some statistic collection and publish this statistic data to HTML page, and it's much easier to debug on the local side. You don't need to set up the monitoring system to understand how your metric work. You can just get this page where curl or HTTP and just view your raw data, or you even can use this data by your local browser. And because of this, it was really easy to implement in third-party products. It was really easy to implement in different exporters, because previously, if you releasing your product, you need to wrote some statistics manual and then create the pull request to the collection tools like Telegraph or CollectD, and you need to do all the code review and all of these things. But right now you can just publish HTML page, and that's all. Looks like a miracle, yeah? Am I right? I'm right. But you may ask me, what the problem? And the main problem is high availability. It's let's talking about high availability in push protocol. In push protocol, you have a lot of different services. It can be like I wrote only 4, but it can be like 4,000 or 5,000 or 40,000. I mean, it can be any number of services which push data to the monitoring relay. And you actually with push, you can have 2 monitoring relays, 3, 4, because all these monitoring relays uses consistent hash to know in which storage they need to store the metrics. It's a really clever mechanism. Some of them use hash ring, some of them use different consistent hash mechanism, but the idea that you can have multiple storage nodes, you can have multiple relay nodes, and everything works. And if some of them fail, it still works. But what with pool? If you have two scrape nodes, that means you need to store 2 times more information. This didn't sound right. I mean, you need to store twice more information, because there is the scrape nodes, they didn't sync between each other. The one node didn't know nothing about other node, and you need to scrape data 2 times. So that means you will have much more traffic in scraping, like twice more at least. If you have 2 nodes, if you have 3 nodes, it's three times more traffic to get, because it's like network traffic, and you need to store all this data 3 times in 3 different monitorings. Or if you use like some specific storage, you need to store those 3 times. But VictoriaMetrics, in VictoriaMetrics we thought a lot about this, and we implement the duplication mechanism. That means with you can use VM agent or Prometheus to VM agent better, because actually Prometheus still wants to store data locally, and it can be disabled, and because of this it can be really slow sometimes. You can use VM agent to collect metrics 2 times, 3 times. It will increase your network traffic. But on the storage side, there is the duplication, and data you didn't, and the duplicated data will be removed. It works okay, and it fixes this high availability problem. So let's talk about when pool didn't work. Pool didn't work when you have like a lot of data. Firstly, pool was designed to collect a lot of data, but if you have like 1,000 nodes of the same service, and or not 1,000, 10,000 nodes of the same service, and each node wants to push 1,000 metrics, you need to have like a huge Prometheus instances to get data from all this scope of nodes, or it's really hard to scale, because you need somehow to shard data, and sharding it's not easy with pool. Pool didn't work if your solution didn't have the duplication, and if you want high availability, because you need to store much more data. Because of things I talked earlier, pool didn't work if you have Internet of Things. Actually, I have interesting setup in our client. They have like a lot of devices, like millions devices on the whole planet, and we want to get data from those devices and store this data in the monitoring and do some advanced statistics. And with the pool system, I mean, it looks like it should work, but actually it didn't work. because there is like a lot of devices, and even when those devices was registered in service discovery, I mean, it should be huge service discovery. You need to read all this data and go to the different nodes. It's really hard to monitor because of network problem, because of encryption. Actually, you need to do authentication to each node, and push is much simpler in this. I mean, with push, you just you can push the data from the nodes to the relays, and didn't think about having like this huge service discovery and an encryption problem. What? Okay, I have some mistakes here. It means lambda or other things with short lifetimes. It's really hard to pull data from lambdas because they didn't have HTTP endpoint, it's hard to pull data from your Spark jobs or something like this, and the pull didn't work in those cases. It didn't work if you didn't have service discovery. I mean, like normal service discovery, not like chef config or something. It should be proper work and service discovery, and pull didn't work when service supports only push protocol. Actually, it can work with monitoring gateway, but it's, when I first started to implement it, I feel like I was used. I feel that I need to take a shower, because with monitoring gateway, you push metrics to some specific store, and then this service do some generation of HTTP page, and pull system just go to this page and takes that data from it. It's like I feel I need to take a shower now. And it pull didn't work in advanced infrastructure setup. Even if you have some more advanced that Prometheus creators expect you to have, it just didn't work. And there is a lot of different life hacks to use proxy or to use some of different tools, but it just didn't work. So, but we need to say when push didn't work as well. Push didn't work with local development. It's really hard to make it work. And if you want to speed up your develop team or you develop it yourself, push much more advanced in development, much more hard to develop the service with push supports. Push didn't work if you didn't want additional load to operational and development teams, because they need to introduce a lot of data. They need to do a lot of thinking about made everything supported. And push didn't work when service supports only pull. Actually, that's not completely true, because you can have locally VM agent installed, or it can be Telegraph or something, but we definitely recommend to use VM agent to this, and you can do the pooling locally. Probably you already have some collection services on your nodes. I mean, like if you have Telegraph on your nodes or something like this, or cAdvisor or something, it's already do the same. It just collect data from the local files or something, and you can collect data from the local HTTP page and then push those data to your monitoring. And I can recommend VMagent because it's really small binary written in Golang. It's really small. It uses almost no resources at all, and you can just pull data from local service. If you have all services on the same node, you can push this data to your local VM agent, and after this, VM agent will push data to relays of VictoriaMetrics, and it will work. So let's talk about when something works, when it's not. Pool didn't work if you have infrastructure things on or any similar setup. If you have Spark jobs, or if you have Lambda jobs, if you have huge amount of nodes in your data center with the same services, it's really hard to make pool work there. But it works, push works here, and in VictoriaMetrics it works as well because we have VMagent in our solution, and definitely it works with VictoriaMetrics push. It's really hard to make pool works with high availability. But it okay works with push, and it works in VictoriaMetrics because we have the duplication. I mean, probably not only VictoriaMetrics have the duplication, but you need to just check this if your solution have the duplication or not. If you have a lot of data, actually I wrote to push is plus minus because some systems really didn't work in an efficient way if you have a lot of data, but some of them works pretty well, and even they work didn't if they didn't do a lot, at least they scalable. But in VictoriaMetrics it works both with the pool model in the duplication, it works with push model as well without any problems. Short-lived nodes, I'm sorry I didn't translate it. As I said, when in infrastructure on things, if you have short-lived nodes, it works with push only. In local development, sorry, pull only. And if you have advanced infrastructure, you probably can forget about pulling data. Actually, you can't pull, but it will be like huge load on operational engineers or SRE engineers. Like probably you need to switch to push, or you need to switch to VictoriaMetrics push and pull, because probably you want to combine both of those systems if you have anything more advanced. And traffic encryption. Actually, there is interesting things, because every page in pool protocol, everything is HTTP page. It can be easy encrypted by just adding SSL. And with push it's much harder to do, but in VictoriaMetrics we did it. So if you want to traffic encryption, you need to use pool or you need to use VictoriaMetrics. And that's probably all. You can go to our site VictoriaMetrics.com. You can go to our GitHub VictoriaMetrics. You can log into our Slack VictoriaMetrics.com. It's a community of VictoriaMetrics users. You can ask any questions there. If you have any questions, you can write email to me, Seva@VictoriaMetrics.com. It was nice to see you, and thank you. Have a nice day. Bye bye.